Hey everybody, Kirk here. Look, nobody wants to think about disasters, right? But the unfortunate truth is they happen. And in the aftermath, one of the most stressful things you can face is finding out you're underinsured. You know, that moment when you realize your insurance policy won't cover the full cost of rebuilding your life. It's a gut punch, and it can feel totally overwhelming. But here's the thing, knowledge is power. And understanding your insurance policy, knowing your options, and taking action quickly can make a world of difference in getting back on your feet. This isn't about adding to your stress, it's about arming you with the information you need to navigate this difficult time. So, in this video we're going to break down some crucial steps you can take if you're worried about being underinsured after a disaster. We'll talk about reviewing your policy, registering with FEMA, filing complaints if necessary, and finding additional resources. Let's do this. Alright, first things first, let's talk about your insurance policy. It's probably the last thing you want to dig into after a disaster, but trust me, it's absolutely essential. I know insurance policies are notoriously dense and hard to understand. But we're not aiming to become insurance experts overnight, okay? What we need are the key details, the critical information that will directly affect your ability to rebuild. So grab your policy, maybe a highlighter, and let's break it down into manageable chunks. The first thing you want to look for is your dwelling coverage limit. This is the maximum amount your insurance company will pay to rebuild your home. It's usually listed on the declarations page, which is like the front page of your policy. Now here's the crucial part. Is this limit enough to actually rebuild your home to its previous condition? Remember, construction costs can be higher than you think, especially after a widespread disaster, when materials and labor are in high demand. Next up, check if your policy includes something called extended replacement cost coverage, or guaranteed replacement cost coverage. These are like golden tickets because they can provide additional coverage beyond your dwelling limit if rebuilding costs are higher than expected. Not all policies have these, but if yours does, you'll find the details in the policy language. Now let's talk deductibles. You know, that amount you have to pay out of pocket before your insurance kicks in. After a disaster, your deductible can feel like a huge hurdle. So it's vital to know exactly how much it is and how it applies to your situation. Sometimes there are separate deductibles for different types of damage, so pay close attention to the wording. And finally, we have to talk about exclusions. These are specific events or types of damage that your policy doesn't cover. It's like that fine print nobody wants to read, but it can make a huge difference. Common exclusions might include things like flood damage, earthquake damage, or damage from neglect. If you've gone through your policy and you're finding gaps in coverage, or maybe something just doesn't make sense, don't panic. Your next step is to reach out to your insurance agent or your insurance company directly and ask for clarification. Remember, this is your life, your home, and your right to understand what you're paying for. Okay, so maybe you've reviewed your insurance policy and you're realizing it's not enough. Or maybe you didn't have insurance in the first place. It's a tough spot to be in, but it's not the end of the road. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is there to help. FEMA's mission is to provide assistance to individuals and communities affected by disasters. They offer a range of programs, including financial assistance for temporary housing, home repairs, and even replacement of essential household items. Now I want to be upfront. FEMA assistance isn't meant to replace insurance. It's designed to bridge the gap, to provide a safety net when your own resources are stretched thin. The amount of assistance you qualify for will vary depending on your individual circumstances and the severity of the disaster. The first step is to register with FEMA as soon as possible after a disaster is declared for your area. You can do this online at FEMA's website, or you can call their helpline. During the registration process, you'll be asked to provide some basic information about yourself, your household, the damage you sustained, and your insurance status. Be prepared to answer questions about your income, any assistance you're receiving from other sources, and the extent of your losses. It's also helpful to have photos and videos of the damage as documentation. Once you've registered, FEMA will review your application and determine your eligibility for assistance. If approved, you'll receive a determination letter outlining the type and amount of assistance you qualify for. Keep in mind that the entire process can take time, especially after a major disaster when FEMA is inundated with requests. But don't let that discourage you. Registering with FEMA is a crucial step in accessing the resources you need to rebuild. Let's talk about a situation that, unfortunately, happens more often than it should. What do you do if your insurance company isn't holding up their end of the bargain? Maybe they're denying your claim without a valid reason, or maybe they're offering a settlement that's way too low to cover the actual cost of repairs. It's incredibly frustrating, especially when you're already dealing with the stress of a disaster. But remember, you have rights as a policyholder. If you believe your insurance company is acting in bad faith, you don't have to accept their decision. You have the power to fight back. The first step is to gather all the documentation you have related to your claim. This includes your insurance policy, your claim number, any correspondence with the insurance company, emails, letters, notes from phone calls, and of course documentation of the damage to your property. Once you have your evidence organized, it's time to file a complaint with your state's insurance department. Every state has a department responsible for regulating insurance companies, and they have a vested interest in ensuring that companies are operating fairly and ethically. You can usually find the complaint process outlined on your state insurance department's website. They might have an online form you can fill out, or they might require you to submit your complaint in writing. When filing your complaint, be as clear and concise as possible. State the facts of your case, including the date of the disaster, the type of damage you sustained, the amount of your claim, and the specific actions you want the insurance company to take. Attach copies of all your supporting documentation. Remember, the more organized and detailed your complaint, the better equipped your state insurance department will be to investigate your case. Now, I know this process can seem intimidating, especially when you're already feeling overwhelmed. But trust me, filing a complaint with your state insurance department can be a powerful tool for holding insurance companies accountable and getting the compensation you deserve. Alright, let's be real. Dealing with insurance and FEMA can be a long and complicated process. But it's not the only path to getting back on your feet. There are other resources out there, other organizations and programs designed to help people in your situation. One such resource is the Small Business Administration, or SBA. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm not a small business, I'm a homeowner. But here's the thing, the SBA also offers disaster loans to individuals and families. These loans can be used for a variety of purposes, including home repairs, replacement of personal property, and even relocation costs. The SBA Disaster Loan Program is designed to help fill the gaps left by insurance or FEMA assistance. They typically offer low-interest loans with longer repayment terms, making them a more manageable option for many people. In addition to government programs, don't underestimate the power of nonprofit organizations. Groups like the Red Cross and the United Way are often on the ground after disasters, providing immediate assistance like food, shelter, and clothing. They can also connect you with other resources in your community, such as mental health services, financial counseling, and legal aid. Local churches, community centers, and volunteer groups can also be invaluable sources of support. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Recovering from a disaster is rarely a solo journey. It takes a community, a network of support, to rebuild and move forward. Remember that you're not alone in this. Another avenue to explore is crowdfunding. Platforms like GoFundMe and Kickstarter have become increasingly popular ways for people to raise funds for a variety of needs, including disaster recovery. Sharing your story and connecting with your network online can potentially provide a much-needed financial boost. Finally, don't hesitate to lean on your personal network for support. Talk to your friends, your family, your neighbors. Let them know what you're going through and how they can help. Sometimes, even small acts of kindness, like a warm meal or a listening ear, can make a world of difference. Look, I know this is a lot to process, especially when you're already facing the overwhelming task of rebuilding your life. But here's the truth. Taking action, even small steps, can make a world of difference. It can empower you, give you a sense of control in a situation that feels anything but controlled. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are resources available, people and organizations ready to help you navigate this challenging time. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to lean on your community, and to advocate for yourself every step of the way. Recovery might take time, but with perseverance and the right support, you will rebuild. You will overcome this, and you will come out stronger on the other side. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next video.